Okay. Hi. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, even potentially. It is Onespar, and we're back once again with the Omega-3 podcast. We are, you know what? Hold on. At the risk of looking silly, I'm gonna try this again. Hold on. We're gonna, so hold on. I just wanna fucking, yeah, that's a good one. Open, yeah. All right, so we're gonna try this again. Hi everyone, it's OneSpar. Welcome back to Omega-3, and today it is day one of Strixhaven. So, in episode two of our Merfolk-based podcast, we're going to go a little bit into new cards from Strixhaven. We're gonna take a look through them really quickly. I have basically been paying attention through spoiler season, so I'm aware of most of the rares. I also went to a pre-release, so I had a little bit of experience there, but I haven't actually played any arena since Strixhaven dropped. So we might even get a couple of games of best of probably just best of one, um, if anything, with our current Merfolk build. Uh, if anything, that's basically going to be like our outlook there. This is very like on the fly. I know I'm running a little late with this one, but I had the opportunity, I had the desire, so I was like, hey, why not knock it out? Like I was saying, Secrets of Strixhaven did just drop on Arena, and the first thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to, take a moment to go over some of the cards in the set. Now, in the previous episode, here we are just on the Arena client, just looking at cards from the set. In my previous podcast, I did go over the new Merfolk from the set, of which there are a few. Surprising that we got any, honestly, but we did get a few. I talked about Harmonized Trio, mentioned that I didn't really believe in it. I've seen some people talk about playing with this card in early access and things like that, and I think generally the outlook has been the same. So the Merfolk from the set, generally speaking, we're gonna say that they are a dud. Um, Again, yeah, the Harmonized Trio was the only one that we were really considering. Everything else, really just like no good. We mentioned we don't want any of these high mana value creatures, and then this low mana value creature that is a small body. This is essentially what is this? This is the same stats and mana value as the new 2 mana Merfolk from not the new, but the 2 mana Merfolk that came out in uh, Lorwyn, and came with a token. So hold on, if we go over here, the Silver Gil Mentor. This is the same thing, but this one comes with a token. The fact that we can with this Strixhaven card, draw 2 cards in the late game at sorcery speed kind of does nothing for us. This Hydra Channeler, while being at a competitive mana value, high toughness, which we like on defense, um, this is very lackluster as a mana dork. We're not focusing on instants and sorceries, so this is no help for us. The Merfolk in the set are a dud. However, that does not mean that everything in the set is a dud. Our deck, as of current, is Azorius, and we do play a decent number of instants. I'm sorry, I have my cat directly in front of my screen. It is still early for mealtime, but I will take a pause in like 15 minutes just to feed all of my various beasts that I've gathered in my apartment. Um, So I do want to take a moment to look over, first of all, the instance. And specifically, I want converted mana cost less than 3 for our instant speed spells, just because we do not like overspending. So going through here, Chase Inspiration, decent protection, not as good in my opinion as Secret Identity, so not gonna consider that one. Yeah, no, we're not doing a lot of drawing. We talked about Harmonized Trio. 2 mana bounce, no. Essence Scouter, no. Divergent Equation. Yeah, not gonna consider that. And +1. Fractalize. Now, interesting. Very interesting, actually, Fractalize, because Fractalize is actually a pump spell. And in a late game scenario where we're only able to stick one creature, let's say our opponent has like maybe 5 or 6 HP, and we maybe like drop, we top deck a Mindspring Merfolk, the 1 mana 1/1 that gets bigger and draws cards. If we get Mindspring Merfolk and we have, like 4 or 5 mana up, on the next turn, we can turn that into a 4/4 or a 5/5, excuse me. If we have 4 mana up, this would turn the creature again into a 4/4. Is that good enough to take up a slot? No, I really don't think so. I think this is just less good than Secret Identity in most cases. So I'm not going to really think about that too much. It is worth considering these just because of the amount of any color lands. We do have a decent number of like starting towns and things like that. So we could always splash a color if it's good. Dramatic Critique is interesting. However, we aren't really running high mana value, or we aren't really running a high land density, so it doesn't help us too much. Quandrix could land even more so in our color pie. However, destroys an enchantment, which is useful. Base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn. Interesting because it doesn't remove the Merfolk type. It increases the power above what Secret Identity does. However, it does not change the creature type. It costs 1 more mana. Hold on. Quandrix Charm. Keep this in mind versus Secret Identity, which is not from this set. Secret Identity is from Omen Paths. 3/4 versus 5/5. So we get +2/+1. It remains a Merfolk. Doesn't have the same versatility by giving our creatures hexproof, which is, I think, most of what we use Secret Identity for. So for that reason, I'm not really thinking too hard about it. So not gonna go in that direction. So Erode, insane consideration, potentially overblown. It's been a long time since as many other content creators have mentioned, it's been a long time since we've had a 1 mana kill anything in white. This is essentially Path to Exile minus the Exile, Path to Graveyard. And the downside is that it gives our opponents a basic land tapped. Now, in our matchups, a few things to consider. First of all, the fact that this is a 1 mana destroy anything is insanely valuable to us because we have so little mana. So the trade-off is less of a trade-off for us because like we don't have the luxury of spending, 3 and 4 and 5 mana to destroy things. So the fact that we can do that for 1 mana is such a premium. I almost have to consider it as like really, really useful. It is likely that I will be playtesting this card significantly, maybe even today. I might even try to build a list with this today. Erode, very good. Again, it comes with a downside. The fact that our opponent gets a basic land card tapped means that, the next turn they're very likely to, be better off. However, with us, a lot of times, 1 turn is all we need. So that's something to consider. This does not have the versatility of also protecting our creatures is one thing to be very considerate of, because more than anything, we need our creatures to be able to, make it through. So if our opponent is not playing creatures, if our opponent is not playing planeswalkers, Erode is useless. And essentially, well, hold on now. Not true. Because Erode against control decks is something that we use against our own creatures to turn them into ramp. Now, I think I've just considered this. I think I've just talked myself into making this like a 4 of immediate ad, because holy moly. Using this against our own creatures in order to recoup benefits is freaking sweet. All right, probably going to be crafting at least 2 or 3 erodes. Probably 3 erodes, 3 or 4. We've interjection. +2/+2 in first strike, not that good considering other options. We want our creatures to be gaining protection if they're going to be getting buffed in some kind of way. We want that kind of versatility there. Annotation, destroy a creature, its controller creates. So this is, it's insane that there's 2 of these here. Wow, white is so juiced. This time the downside is they get a token. When combined with bouncing, it's not actually that much of a downside because bouncing the token destroys it permanently. The fact that Erode is an option, I think, means harsh annotation is almost not considerable. Our removal, now that Erode is here, I think our removal is 1 mana, and if it's going to be 2 mana, it has to be like there has to be a really good reason for it to be 2 mana. Not going to do that. Tap a creature for a start turn, put a stun counter on it, draw a card. Not. The fact that Erode was at the beginning basically means that we don't even consider these, because we're just like considering them against Erode. It's like, is it doing as much as Erode is? If not, then why are we considering it? That sort of thing. It's unfortunate. Okay, so as far as instants are concerned, Erode. Write that one down. I do want to go now to enchantments. We were saying enchantments. There weren't that many. Graduation Day. So I think if Erode is in our deck, Graduation Day also benefits from being in our deck. Maybe. But is this just a win more card is the question. This might just be a win more card. Because we can win fast enough as it is, as long as our creatures aren't getting destroyed. So I think Graduation Day is superfluous. Comforting Counsel. So we would have to go hard into life gain. And then at a certain moment, this means all of our creatures get +3/+3. not really buying it. So last thing I think I want to check, I just want to check the colorless options. Let's just do all colorless cards. Why don't we just look at these? There's not going to be that many. Whenever we cast instant sorcery, not going to be doing that much. Whenever we cast a multicolor spell, we have some, not that many. It's not a merfolk. Artifact creature. No. This just requires us to be doing a lot of things we don't want to do. 1 mana of any color. Gain 2 life if we've cast instant sorcery now. A vehicle. Always interesting to check a tap outlet. When it enters, we search for a basic land. It's a flying 3/2. So if we are playing, because you have to remember at a certain moment, there was a certain Thopter that existed in this game that the Merfolk really loved, especially when it came to Deep-Root Pilgrimage. Smuggler's Thopter. And so any card that somewhat mimics Smuggler's Thopter we do have to consider. I don't think this one is that great, considering not all of our creatures are always going to be having 2 power, although most of them do, if you consider it. Most of them actually do. But at 3 mana, I don't think this is what we want to be doing at all. 4 mana, making things prepared or unprepared, we don't care. Archaic, 5 mana, no, we don't care. Sundering Archaic, 6 mana. Exile a non-land permanent with mana value less than. So a 6 mana exile a non-land permanent with likely mana value 3 or less, or 2 or less. And then also graveyard control. No, we have Rest in Peace. We don't care. Together is 1. Converge can be up to 2 or 3. Target player draws 3 cards, deals 3 damage to any target, gain 3 life. Meh. Not, again, 6 mana, way too much. 6 mana, way too much. 7 mana, likely way too much. Draw 3 cards. And discard 2 cards? Get out of here, dude. Dawning Archaic. 1 less for each instant and sorcery. When it attacks, cast an instant or sorcery. Nah, don't care. These lands. Probably we don't care. Huh. Is Petrified Hamlet worth playing? Are there any lands that we really need to be able to turn off? Creature lands? There's some creature lands that this could turn off. But we need our colors. Our colors are too important. I don't think so. The last thing, I just wanted to check in these colors. Any of this, sorceries, artifacts of mana value 1, 2, or 3. We'll even consider the 3s. Exile and return to the battlefield with a 1/1 counter. Only some of our creatures have enter the battlefield effects. Although it is interesting if we decide to go into a repartee, that one mana enchantment. 1/1 counter on a creature, don't really care. Great, no. Antiquities on the loose, no. Now hold on. Practiced offense. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature target player controls. Target creature gains double strike or lifelink until end of turn. Now at sorcery speed, this is definitely less interesting. However, it is somewhat interesting because we are going to have a lot of creatures. We're going to want to make those creatures bigger. At current standard, one of 2 things generally happens by turn 3. either our opponent has a board to oppose our board, or they are controlling the board to the point that we don't really have creatures. And in both of those situations, practiced offense isn't that good. So I'm not actually that hot on it. No. Flow state, we're not going to have instants and sorceries, so whatever. No. Procrastinate. Tap a creature and put twice X stun counters on it. No. The creatures that we really care about destroying, or that we care about interrupting, are the creatures that have continuous effects or triggered abilities on the battlefield, and so tapping them might not necessarily stop that. Mathemagics. Draw 2 to the X cards. Target player. We don't have enough mana to really capitalize on that. Creature, no, not that, not good enough at 1 mana. To look at the top 4 to reveal a creature or a land, or if we gain life, reveal 2 of those. No, we're not really focused on gaining life. The tackle +0 +10 and then fight. No, not that interesting. No. We don't have enough mana to really make any use of that. Anything else? Again, green blue is the closest to in our color pie here. Not a lot of 1/1 counters on our stuff, so that's not that good. Draw X cards. At 4 mana, this can basically put any of our creatures onto the battlefield. At 5 mana, it 100% puts any of our creatures on the battlefield. Not super excited. All right, so let's do this. I have some packs to open. Let's open some packs together. How long are we in the video already? 25 minutes. Been a long time. Just looking at cards from the new set. Hopefully that was interesting for somebody. Let's open all our packs here real quick. I now have enough rare wild cards. I'm probably just gonna craft a set of erodes. I know, by the way, I know I could have gone and crafted, used all my commons and uncommons. Could have crafted a bunch of stuff. Well, I don't care enough. Anything interesting? Dramatic critique we like to see. Cool. Anything interesting down here? Spell Premier, stock up. Zombify. Don't really care. Here's what I want to do. I want to feed my pets, and I want to come back here, and then I want to craft a deck. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go over here, plus here. Traditional standard. Our deck is going to be SOS, SOS Merfolk V 3.0. So ECL Merfolk was version 0 and version 1. TMT Merfolk's version 2, and now we're in SOS, so that's version 3. That's why we have it like that. Yeah, we're badass. That's why we do that. Who cares? And then over here, this I like to have. Yeah, let's do a blue dragon because we're mean and we're blue. We're fighting hard. And then as far as card backs are concerned, we can do. Want to be scary. Want our opponents to be fearful for what might happen to them. Why don't we do this one? This one looks fucking spooky. Yeah. All right. Cool. And then over here, We also need to have a card in the front. And so we're going to have that card be Erode for right now, including things we haven't collected. It's going to be Erode. All right, so hang tight here. We are going to be right back after my animals are fed. I'll be right with you. All right, I'm back. My lunatics are fed. I have water for lubrication, and I am ready to build. So, first card that I want to consider, obviously, Erode. All right. Now, again, this card rolls double duty. It is a removal spell. It takes care of the most important threat that our opponent has. This isn't for, just a 1/1 otter or, just a bunny. This is for actually like a big creature that we're afraid of. Get this out of here. Or this is for our creatures once our opponent has threatened a removal spell or a board wipe, so we can get a little bit of value out of those instances. With those in mind, it is kind of running the same. Now my dog is trying to be a real nuisance. It's running the same. I swear to God, if you try to get up there. What are you doing? Stop. That's not it. That's not how you act. That's not how you behave. It's running the same space as Secret Identity, so let's also grab Secret Identity while we're here. Now, with these two, would we say that our counterplay package is complete? I'm not entirely certain, because... Well, no, because essentially now we have basically three ends of the spectrum. We have one that allows our creature to avoid removal by making it bigger if it's damage based. We have another that makes it avoid removal by giving it hexproof and targeted removal. Now it doesn't hit it. And then we have one that protects it in the case of basically a board wipe by just like returning some of the value, allowing some of the value essentially, to carry through. It's something. I still am a little bit wary of this combination as far as like my non-creature suite is concerned. So around this, I do have to build a creature base. Now, I will say, this dog is so silly. I will say that I have been finding it very helpful to start all my lists with Cenote Scout. Cenote Scout for these allows me to run a list with sub 22 lands, and I found that running less than 22 lands allows me for a lot of flexibility in my 1 and 2 mana spells. Because we run a critical mass of creatures, but we also run a decent number of interactive spells as well. A lot of our interactive abilities are in our creatures, but we run some spells. Cenote Scout, very good there. We need, obviously, if we're going to be running a low mana value deck, we need to have more good things at the 1 mana. So obviously we are going to be running a Wanderbrine. If I'm not mistaken, Trapper. Now, in a deck like this, is it finally time to consider Sig? I still just don't know how I feel about this card. Again, comes in. Now, well, we do get our first hit quite often. Being able to recoup that mana advantage is not bad. It's important to note that this doesn't happen at the beginning of each main phase, which really sucks. It only happens when it enters and when it transforms back. So we are obligated to transform the next turn and give our creature protection. So this is what I will do. Because I don't have enough wild cards. I don't need 4 roads. I think I'm only going to need to run 2. As I say that, I feel like I don't believe myself. I'm going to run 4. Sig, I'm not going to touch yet. We're going to consider him. I'm going to run some packs a little bit later. And we'll see if I can also get some Sig out there, but no, not currently. So continuing on this deck, continuing right now on this deck, we are going to need to run another creature. I have generally considered, since we're in the early game, we're trying to run big. I do also like Mistway. Not Mistway, excuse me. Mindspring. These names are complicated for me. Mindspring Merfolk. I don't actually need 4 of these. I like to just run 3. I have a lot of Lord effects. Mindspring is kind of just like a catch-up card more than anything. On to the 2 mana value Merfolk, and this is where things do get kind of interesting. Because my preference is to lean on the team up between Brineborn Cutthroat and Floodpit Drowner. I found that to be the best in a more control flash style shell. At 1 mana value, I mean, you have to play at sorcerer speed. There's really no options there for Merfolk. You just kind of have to play it that way. If you want to get on the board early, you have to get on the board at sorcery speed. But once you get to 2 mana, you really have a lot of opportunities. T Merfolk O Flash. Essentially, these 3 together, and then if you also include the 3 mana value, these 4 as a team, and if you actually include as well these 5, it's a really good team up. I wonder if I just want to run it like that. The only thing, Tishana's Tidebinder is the one that's difficult. However, now we have a road. Maybe a road makes it so that Tishana's Tidebinder is more likely to happen. So let's do it like this. Brineborn. We want Navigator. We want the rest of them. We probably just want kind of like splattering. So let's do 2, 2, and 2. Now I'm gonna make a sideboard for this. So for now, main deck wise, how are we going to fill this up? So there's a few cards that I like to consider at the 2 mana slot to kind of tidy things up. One obvious possibility is No More Lies, because we are running Azorius. We have You know, we're holding up mana on turn 2 oftentimes, so no more lies is pretty good. Another card that I found is actually really good is Detect Intrusion, aka Spider Sense, if I'm not mistaken. We can actually check. Yep, that's Spider Sense. Detect Intrusion is good because we actually do have a lot of creatures that benefit from entering the battlefield a second time, such as Cenote Scout, such as Mindspring Merfolk after it's been exhausted, such as Floodpit's Drowner, the Tidebinder, and Disruptor of Currents. Deepway Navigator as well in certain cases, though kind of less so. Hits fewer types of spells, but also hits triggered abilities, so kind of acts as a backup to Tachana's Tidebinder. We could consider running them both, actually. And then the only thing that I would also consider, where are we at now? So creatures versus instants. We have 25 creatures. I think I just want to run more creatures. So I'm just going to run one more Drowner. And then one more Disruptor. This oftentimes is going to be 3 mana or less. Let's just run 3 Erodes at this moment, and then we'll run 21 lands. Now, lands-wise, we do have some interesting choices to make. In general, even though we run Cenote Scout, I'm not going to be running any forests. I'm not going to be running any green mana sources, I believe, because we're going to be relying on a few specific things. First of all, we are going to be relying on Starting Town. We are going to be relying on Starting Town. We are going to be relying on Cavern of Souls. Now, this is where I'm a little bit less certain. Recently, I've been also running Secluded Courtyard. However, I'm wary of running too many of these creature type lands, because they do not allow us to cast any of our instants or sorceries, of which we have a non-zero amount of. We have in our deck 12 instants and sorceries. And of those 12 instants and sorceries, only 2 of them run colorless mana pips. So we don't actually really want to be, I feel like, limiting ourselves quite as much. The other thing to consider, it actually might be interesting to run 2 and 2, just because Floodpit's Drowner and Mindspring Merfolk have activated abilities with colored pips on them, and Secluded Courtyard allows us to do that. Actually, Cavern of Souls, but it's really useful against control. It's one of those things. It's like I never see counter spells played against my Merfolk, but I always play for Cavern of Souls, so probably that's the reason why, huh? We're gonna do 6 of these, of 6 of 6. So that does mean of our 20 lands, now we have 10. Half of them can cast Cenote Scout. Am I gonna actually run the Verge? Do I run the Verge? Is there another land? Is there another land that I can run that taps for anything? Multiversal Passage, I think, is the other one that comes to mind. Although I don't want to play Multiversal Passage on green. It's actually not what I want to do. I would much rather play a land that can just tap for any color of mana. Now, Scene of the Crime. Scene of the Crime is actually interesting, and I'll tell you why Scene of the Crime is interesting. Because Scene of the Crime actually brings us more towards the Deeproot Pilgrimage. But I've been going away from Deeproot Pilgrimage recently, just because I don't like a 2-mana enchantment that encourages like a backseat kind of play pattern. It's just not my thing, you know. It just doesn't feel right. And then I know that we have this land. But this as well is just not that good. It's just also not what we want to see. Alright, we're gonna run then half of it. But we have 21 lands is the thing. We're gonna run 12. Just 60. It's a 5th. That essentially guarantees that we're not going to be casting any of those spells until the late game, and I don't want things to be that way. I don't necessarily want it to be that way. Alright, I've come to a decision. There's not a lot of white in here, so what I'm actually going to do... pay 2 life. We're going to run it this way. 4. This hurts. 4. 2. And then we are going to run Verges. 3 of you. 2 of you. So I think or like this. Because we really don't have. It's really just Cenote Scout. And we don't need, because we already have, we probably just need like maybe 1 Willow Rush Verge, right? And then that way we can still run the basics for the basic check. I think that's perfect. I think that's perfect. I think that's fine. All right, sideboard wise, we will definitely need Rest in Peace. But not a land. It's not a land. Silly game. We'll play. This version is pretty badass, though. We'll play this version. 3 Rest in Peace. I want to run a certain number of, because we have some ability to control. Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. We're not gonna actually have that. We want more to Shana in certain instances. we are going to want to run more spell snare. I think spell snare can help us. What else helps us at 2 mana? We can run or excuse me, what else helps us in white? I was actually gonna say no. I think probably the best is gonna be seam rip. That card is just good. We will run a board wipe if necessary, and the board wipe that we will run would be split up because it allows us to avoid our creatures. Trying to think what else we would want to do. Usually I play Flood Maw in the main, but I'm running a road instead, so I kind of don't really feel like I need to do anything with that. Are there any merfolk that I would sub in here? Now, I do want to keep in mind that I completely am not running the actual Lord effect. But I'm trying to justify that by saying that instead I'm running a lot of extra control. That's what I'm trying to tell myself. Nikachu believes in Champions of the Shoal. I don't. I just don't. Is Sig's command worth running in the side? I don't really think so. Here's what I'll run. We'll call this Insurance Against Artifact decks. I do like running this one, which is I forgot what it's called. I also forgot how to spell. I also apparently am entirely wrong. Why am I just blanking on this? It is a blue mana instant 1 and X from Omen Paths. Spectral Restitching. Jesus Christ. Don't know why that was so difficult to remember. I do like this. I've been playing this in other decks. So we built this really quick on the fly on the stream. Version 3.0. I'm going to go ahead and say craft all. 4 rares. They're done. They're gone. You done, son. Alright, we're going to run this. I will run a best of 3. I'm feeling spicy. Currently, I am in Diamond. I just reached Diamond a day or so ago. I haven't had quite that good of a run since then. But we'll see how we do. Give me a sip of water here. Try not to die. Jesus. Been invoking Jesus a lot in this stream. Hopefully I don't get smoked. Alright. So, see how we do here. Now, 1 mana hand with 2 Cenote Scout, perfectly fine keep. easiest keep of my whole life. Interesting. Mind Spring. We'll keep. So, in this situation, not knowing exactly what's going on yet, well, we're about to find out, I suppose. But we're essentially thinking either we flood the board early, or what's more likely to happen is that we just play the planes, attack, and then pass. And then we're essentially ready for whichever they decide to do. And right now, my first inclination is that this is either 3 or 4 color control, which means that I will just kind of play it slow. It's likely that they're going to come back at me. No way, skeletons, you don't say. Alright. So he does have a skeleton. He can attack, that's fine. We're going this way. We're going to cenote again. Hope for a land. Don't get a land, but we get in a road. We're going to go to face. It is likely that we simply just go for the gold here. Seam Rip. It's a situation where we could get our own basic land card. We can get our own basic island. I think I want to do that. I think I actually do want to do that. All right. So, detect intrusion. I think what I will do is play this. And I will play this. Our opponent is very mouthy. So, any triggered ability, we are going to probably detect intrusion to pick up our Cenote Scout. Yeah, that's a good pick. See, this is a triggered ability. So we're going to go ahead and counter it. We're seeing a lot of our deck, which I like. Now, not going to do anything. All right. Oh no. Oh no. So why don't we just trade? This guy's talking a lot. My dog is being real silly. Let's go. So we are going to do this. And do nothing. Hmm. Very good. So if a creature died, if you descended, oh man, what a freaking loser. Okay, so we are going to go to game 2. Now here, definitely, we don't like the active or the triggered abilities. Those can go away forever. So if this is truly a corpses deck, and it could just be a tokens deck, so it kind of just seems like a tokens deck. If it is a tokens deck, then I don't think we actually care about the rest in peace. The Seam Rip, on the other hand, does help us take care of those pesky tokens. Disruptor of Currents will not be useful as often just because the enters the battlefield effects will come back to bite us again. And then the other thing that we'll cut down on is probably... what else would we cut? Probably the secret identities, just because with nowhere to run, they become less useful. I think that's reasonable. It's a consideration for split up, but I don't think we care necessarily about a wide array of tokens as we care about like pesky tokens. I will play first. I think anyway. That's the way I feel. Good. a very good opening. I think this is basically exactly what I want to see. We'll keep it, just to make him scared. I think, well, fair enough. This is where we can hold up blue mana. Pretend like we have stuff we can do. Oh, what am I gonna do? I don't care. And interesting consideration. I do think we should play the Cenote Scout right now. And that's exactly why. Because now we can have this held up. Now we have no more lies. They have to play around it. I do think we will counter this one. Don't want him to be that smelly about it. So we can immediately do the Trapper, hold up the Tidebinder. This guy's talkative. Fair. Yup. I think the one that I want to block is going to be this one. I'm going to allow it for now because soon I will not have to. Now, I'm just going to pass. So, I can do this. Do this. Boom. Boom. Seam rip. Targeting what? Nah. Do you have another one? Another shelter. Can't get that. Alright. Yeah, I'll block it. I'll take the Tidebinder back. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Cool. This time we do this. That's fine. That's the one that we stop. No. That was wild. I forgot I was recording. Oh man, that was rough. Oh man, that was rough. Yeah, I got really quiet there. Oh, and I tilted really hard too. Ah well. Ah well, what can you do? Just do another one, right? White or green, blue or black, that's fine. We can run one more. Run more, then call it. See what happens. A little sippy sip. It's a larger sip. Excuse me. Let us see what happens. So, no turn one play always makes me a little nervous. However, we are on the draw, so there's a chance we draw into the turn one play. Also, we're very well set up for turns 2 and beyond. So, I mean, I'm willing to try it. willing to test it out, and then lo and behold. All right, all right. He had the he had the 2-mana answer. Very good. You have the dynamic duo here. Very happy to see. I think it's worth it just to remove the Furdock core. So this is definitely the demon slash dragons tribal deck thing. So can't really let them have the witchamajigger. Very happy to counter this. Basically hitting all the right notes. Do want to see that next. Thank you. If what they have here is a creature, which they do. Flip its Drowner is the answer to that. Just so. So yeah, this is essentially nearly exactly what we want to see. We are going to attack with. So we need 5 total up. So we need to do like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Do like so, and then we can do one of these. Yoink. Now, okay, I was about to say he could have the 5-mana board wipe, which would suck, but otherwise that's fine. Now this is another one of those decks that kind of vexes me. I really do think that they rely a lot on their triggered abilities. However, triggered abilities of enchantments are kind of more difficult. Because I can't turn them off completely. They don't do anything really with the graveyard. Kind of feel like it's this, and then what would I remove? One off removing a triggered ability is pretty nice. Let's remove 1 disruptor. The thing about disruptor is that it helps us out early. So let's just go down 1 singular. I don't know. I feel like round 1 went really well. Hard to make any cuts. Because we're kind of well balanced against these triggered abilities. I feel like I might have even overtuned. Now, this is rough. Any land that we draw, more or less, allows us to play Mindspring and then eventually Tishana. And until then, we have access to basically everything. I'd keep it. And even without having drawn a land on turn 1, I still don't feel that bad. Drawing a land on turn 2 feels somewhat bad. What is going to be the next turn? Turn 4? It's probably going to be the Furdock core. Turn 4, I mean with 4 mana. Probably the Furdock core, if anything, in which case I would just hold up a road. So let's just keep growing the board state. Yeah. Esper Origins. So they are somewhat doing graveyard stuff. Now, I hate to see it, but yeah, that's fine. Another Furdock core. They surveil to the top. Alright, cool. Well, get it out of there. We continue to not draw lands. But, I mean, again, you can't, it's definitely not going to say that we're ahead in any sense of the word. However, is he going to destroy? Is he going to draw a card and lose a life? Yeah, well. No, draw your card. Lose your life. Now get a land, freaking loser. Hopefully you just drew a land. That hurts. I mean, obviously there's no guarantee that we draw a land because we have very few in the deck, but you know. But still, at any time that we draw a land, we're kind of ready to jump back into the game. There it is. Not necessarily on time, but what can you do? Another Furdock. So what we will do here, our options are essentially hold up, detect intrusion. We have to hold up the mana. Essentially now we have to discard a card, huh? Let's discard a single Mindspring Merfolk. Don't need to. Make him think. Why would he not play that spell that he had the mana to play? Earthbend 2. We will tap that creature, I believe. Won't we? Yeah, why not tap that creature? And then we can still detect intrusion. Huh. Bazinga. Alright. Run it back. Let's go ahead and do this guy again. I'll let him do that. Oh, is he gonna take detect intrusion? That would suck a little bit. No, he doesn't. Tashana's Tidebinder. Even though I can't cast it. Alright, he found... Did I have 2? Yeah, I just had 2. Alright, now what? What are we gonna do? What's the move, big boy? Yep, you're allowed to do that. Fair. Thank God. Ayúdame. Thank you. Alright, so this is where he may have fucked up. I haven't really done the math, but I think he might actually be dead. Unless he has removal, which he might have removal. He does have removal. Okay. Smart cookie. We are gonna pay 2. We want to play this. Swing with the team. Untap the team. That's rough, buddy. Damn, that's a tough one. What would be the move here? What would be the move here? It would probably be to just counter the activated ability, but we still have to block with... Yeah, no, that's not going to do it. Fair enough. So this time, since we're on the play, I think we just want to go fast. Do we have 2-mana spells here? Do we have a lot of 2-mana stuff? I don't really think we do. Terminus, Triumph, Esper Origins. I mean, it's not a non-zero number, but it's still not a lot. And then Rest in Peace. With Sozin, I mean, Sozin isn't often gonna be actually happening. Although they do have Planeswalkers too. So I'm gonna go ahead. Disruptive Currents we're gonna take out. Tidebinder, you're in. We are going to bring in as well. Is Rest in Peace worth it? Is Rest in Peace worth it? They have shown to be running graveyard shenanigans. So I think it's worth it. And then if we're countering the triggered abilities, I think the erodes can go away. Identity we want. Let's do this. Let's see what happens. See if we can get a win on the podcast here. Now, I will say this one particular build is a little shaky. I'm trying to think. In the other one, I was running 4 into the Flood Maw, which is like just a really versatile removal spell that doesn't give our opponent an upside at the same time. I was also trying to think what else. Why am I stuck on full control? Yeah, I don't know. It was mostly those things. Or at least I believe so. Start by attacking. I think I do want to Cenote again. Yep, that's fine. And I'll hold up the Erode. Fine. Alright, now it's a control game. So essentially I will be beating them down 3 damage at a time from here on out. Okay. Let's go. Okay. That's fine. Moving along. So this time we'll just cast this bad boy. Yeah, this does have to be the last one because the pooch is ready to flush the system. So Tishana's is gone. X or less. So we will do this. Then we will pull. Okay, yeah, we'll take it. All right, so thank you very much for tuning in. Sorry if that was not incredibly entertaining there. However, it was very nice getting a chance to play with some new cards. Over those 2 games, I think Erode is actually kind of interesting. Yeah, there were a couple of situations in which like it really did rob our opponents. I really do see it almost more like a black version of Not Dead After All, whatever that one's called. Uh, but yeah. So anyway, it's been interesting. Thank you very much for watching if you're watching, or thank you for listening if you're listening. Have a very nice time. Whatever time you have, enjoy it. I'll see you next time. Omega-3 out.